Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to the shop. Today we're going to talk about DRO functions on the ProTrak KMX machine. To start, we're going to select Check System, and we are going to enter into our DRO mode. Once in the DRO mode, you can tell that we are in the DRO mode up in the corner. We're using Tool 1 currently. We're on a 2-axis machine, and our units is inch. Next, I would like to discuss the buttons off to the side. At the top, you have X, Y, and Z. These allow you to select what axis you would like to edit. For example, if I would like to change my coordinate for my X axis, I can select X, and I can enter a number I would like to change it to. I can then enter it incrementally or absolute. Here's the difference between incremental and absolute. An incremental movement will take your current position and move it a certain amount of units in one direction or another. For example, if I told the x-axis I would like it to move 6 inches incrementally, it would move positive 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your machine would then move to here. Now, if I told the machine that I wanted to move to 6 absolute, it would move my machine to positive 6. For example, if I told the machine to move to 6 absolute, it would move from -4 to 6. This works the same in the y direction. If I wanted the machine to move 3 incrementally, it would move positive 3 inches. If I told the machine to go to 3 absolute, it will stay where it's at because it's currently at 3. In other words, an incremental movement will move the machine a certain amount of distance. An absolute movement will move the machine to a preset location. While in program mode, most of your selections will be done using the absolute setting. While in DRO mode, you tend to use more incremental movements. Next, I can change my DRO mode from incremental to absolute. You notice next to the numbers it says absolute. To change this, select this button. Now it will show us our incremental numbers. If I'd like to change my units, I can select the inches/millimeters button here. This will take us from inches to millimeters. To go back to inches, simply select inches, millimeters again. The next button you see is the look button. This is used in programming and not in DRO mode. Next, you have inc set and absolute set. This is to enter data for either incremental movements or absolute movements. You have your keypad here, which you can enter data, and you have your plus or minus so that you can either make a number positive or negative. Mode will take you back to the mode selection screen, and restore will undo your selection. For example, if I have x-axis selected, I can click restore to unselect that. Notice the buttons to the side, that is to select any of these 5 functions. To zero our machine, we can select the axis we would like to zero. Notice the axis becomes highlighted. You can now enter 0, and you can either zero the machine incrementally or absolute. You can do the same thing by simply selecting incremental or absolute. Like stated earlier in the video, absolute is what you use 90% of the time. Incremental will mainly be used in the power feed settings. Once again, to zero our Z axis, select Z. The next thing that we'll talk about are the 5 functions off to the side. Starting with the Jog function. Select the Jog function. Notice up at the top, it will tell us that the jog is active. You can see down at the bottom, our feed rate is 100. Notice my feed rate says 100. To reverse the direction of travel, simply select the plus or minus. You will now see a minus next to the feed rate. If you see minus, your table will travel in the opposite direction. To reverse this, simply select plus minus. Now our table will travel in the positive direction. To make your table travel, simply select the axis you would like and hold down. If I'd like to go in the reverse direction, select the plus or minus button and select the axis you would like to travel again. This works the same for the y-axis. To change the feed rate, simply select down or up on the sidebar. Your machine will now travel at a feed rate of 30, 40, 50, so on and so forth, depending on what you select. Notice our machine is only 2-axis. Jog will not work on the z-axis. When you're finished using Jog, simply click Return. Notice our machine is not currently at 0. We can simply return to our 0 point by using the next function, return absolute 0. When you click this button, the machine will go back to your absolute 0. When you click that button, it will tell you that it is ready to begin. You select Go to Start. The machine will remind you to check the z-axis for clearance. Once you check the z-axis, press Go. Your machine will now rapidly move back to the 0 point. Notice it will tell you the feed rate and the override rate down at the bottom. Again, since our machine is only a 2-axis, it will not return z to absolute 0 by itself. The next function is Teach. We will have a separate video on how to use Teach. The next button you see is Tool Number. The next feature we have is Tool Number. When you select Tool Number, it will tell you what you are currently using. You can enter your new tool number by using the keypad to the side. Click Absolute Set to enter the data. Notice at the top it changes to tool number 2 instead of tool number 1. Again, select the tool number, enter the new tool you would like to use, and click Absolute Set to enter the data. The next function we see is Power Feed. To use Power Feed, select Power Feed. Like stated previously, Power Feed is incremental movement. This means the table will only move a certain amount of distance you tell it to. For example, if I would like the table to move 3 inches in the positive X direction, I can select X. Notice it will prompt you, go to X. You can now enter how far you would like the axis to move, 3 inches, and you have to hit incremental set. Now, if I try to make that an absolute set, it will not work. For example, if we move the y-axis in 2 inches and we try to click absolute set, the machine will not move. If we try to hit incremental set, the machine will now recognize that movement. Once you have your movements inputted, simply select Go. The machine will now travel in those directions that amount of distance. You can increase or decrease your feed rate by simply selecting the button up or down. When you want to stop the power feed, simply select Stop. When you like to go back to a previous page, click Return. Again, if you would like to zero your machine, simply select Return to Absolute Zero. Thank you for watching. Be sure to come back for our Teach video as well as our demonstrations on the other modes.